There are hundreds of metrics that you can track with your SaaS company, but actually only 5 are super important. And in this video, I'm going to show you the one that you should focus on the most. The first one, obviously, is the MRR, which is monthly recurring revenue. Most people actually think that this is the revenue you get at the end of each month, but it's not entirely true. The real formula to calculate the monthly recurring revenue is the number of monthly active customers times the average revenue per user. The reason why you should calculate it that way is because whenever you're selling like a software as a service subscription, some people might buy it yearly and others might buy it monthly. If you want to know your MRR and you're just referring to the monthly revenue, let's say that at the beginning of the year you have a lot of people purchasing the yearly plan, then your monthly revenue is going to be actually much higher than your MRR. So make sure to actually do the calculation right. So an example, if let's say you have 1880 monthly active customers and they're all paying $50, in the end you would get $94,000 MRR, monthly recurring revenue. The second part, which is a metric that no one likes to follow, but it's the churn. And the churn is really important. It's the number of people who essentially cancel their subscription. The formula is pretty simple to calculate the churn. It's the number of customers you get at the end of the month minus the number of the customers that you get at the end of the month divided by the number of customers at the start of the month. And that way it gives you, let's say that you have 2,000 customers minus 1,880 divided by 2,000, it would give you like a 6% churn rate. There are different types of churn like gross MRR churn or net revenue churn, but the truth is like what matters for you is to always get that number as low as possible. You also have like the net MRR churn, which take into consideration whether or not people are upselling whenever they purchase something. Let's take a very simple example with lemlist. So we are selling like a subscription which is per seat, meaning like per user. So if we have a team starting, let's say with 3 users and they're paying $50 per month per user, so a total of $150. Let's say that after a couple of months they decide to add more seats because their team is getting bigger. It means that their subscription is going to increase. Whenever you have like this net MRR churn, which includes basically the upsell, you can have some companies that have an actual net MRR churn that is negative, which means that the retention of the business is actually above 100%. So for example, if you take businesses like Slack, which is a price per user, most of the time when you start with Slack, like the churn must be very low because it's like communication within the team. It's very sticky tool. So people don't usually like cancel. And on top of it, whenever they see like teams growing, it means that each month the revenue they are making is also growing with the team that is growing. And hence those businesses are really awesome for investors because it means that technically if your retention is above 100%, that you are actually growing even though you are not acquiring new customers. And this is because your existing customers are spending more and more money to purchase your software, and hence your revenue will keep growing and keep expanding without adding external or new customers. The third part is LTV, or lifetime value. So the lifetime value is equal to the average revenue per user divided by the customer churn rate. So let's say that your average revenue per user is $60 and you have a customer churn rate of 6%, then your LTV is $1,000. What's really important about LTV is to understand also how long a customer is staying with you. If you divide this LTV by the average revenue per user, you now have the total amount of months that a client is spending using your solution. And in that case, 17 months. The fourth step is the CAC, or customer acquisition cost. It's basically equal to the total cost of sales and marketing divided by the number of customers acquired. It's really important to know these metrics, especially like CAC and LTV, because it allows you to understand how much you are spending and how much your customers are bringing back to you. Let's say that your customer acquisition cost, so the cost for each customer that you're bringing, is $10 and each customer is actually bringing you $1,000, then it means that you're running a very profitable business because you're spending 10 and you're getting $1,000. But if let's say that you are spending $2,000 to acquire customers and they are only bringing you $1,000, then it's fucked up. Your business is just gonna die like fast. And the truth is, like, a lot of companies forget to look at this metric, and it's a pain, and that's often why you see like VC-backed companies totally failing, because they don't manage their customer acquisition cost. The customer acquisition cost just goes through the roof, and they believe that they would keep acquiring customers, and down the line everything will decrease magically. It doesn't happen. I think it's much more sustainable to grow a business in a profitable way, where you know that you are spending less money than what your customers is actually bringing, which to me is the essence of business. Oh, Francis! Oh la la. So let's take a quick example to calculate customer acquisition cost. Let's say that your sales and marketing spend is 40,000 bucks. And when we say sales and marketing spend, you should always take into consideration the cost of your employees. Lots of people are saying like, you know what, our marketing budget is, let's say, like 1,000 bucks and we acquired X amount of customers. The truth is, like, your customer acquisition cost should always include the staff, the people. It's the actual money that you are spending. I know that a lot of VC-backed startups are trying to kind of like fix the numbers and saying it's just the amount that they're spending. But the truth is, like, the real amount you're spending goes also to your staff. And most often it's the biggest cost. The biggest cost is the people you hire, not like the money you're gonna spend on Facebook or Google Ads or whatever. And let's say that you have acquired 1,000 customers with this $40,000. It means that your customer acquisition cost would be $40. And based on what we've seen previously with the example of LTV at $1,000, that will be still a very profitable business. And then there is the SaaS magic number, which is an interesting number, and most people don't calculate it, but I think it gives you like a good idea of how well your business is performing. And the SaaS magic numbers essentially allows you also to see the effectiveness of your marketing and sales. The formula is the current quarter revenue minus the prior quarter revenue times the ARR, so annual recurring revenue, and divided by the prior quarter sales and marketing expenses. I know it sounds like a bit weird like this, but just calculate it and see. You will be more or less in 3 different categories. Either you are above 0.75, which means that you should invest more in sales and marketing. So you are really, really efficient with your cash, and you should spend it more to get maybe like a faster growth or like scale faster. If it's below 0.75, consider whether growth investment makes sense. And if you're below 0.5, something wrong in your business model. So that just gives you an idea of how you're managing the cash and how you should do it. But overall, all those 5 metrics allow you to really control whether or not your business is on the right track. So make sure to follow these metrics each month. Is there any other metric that you are tracking for your SaaS? Just let me know.